Here it is.
Here we are.
Welcome to this new edition of Here We Grow with the amazing Danica Dunseth from Canna Collective. Danica,
one day everybody will get my name right, but obviously not today. That's fine.
Oh, sorry. Okay, it's Danica. I got the first half right.
You did. Danica Dunseth. And honestly, I'm not here to make waves today because I'm very, very grateful for our stand-in producer, Chef Rodney of Deliciously Dope, stepping in today. I have had nothing but technical difficulties. I'm sure we've all had that. Kim Cooper, I love you, and I'm sorry, and your high energy bar is kicking. But we are so incredibly grateful to have our sweet friend Jackie Childs. I missed your face.
Hello, hi.
Oh my gosh. So Jackie Childs is a best-selling author, influencer, advocate. I mean, this woman does not stop, nor tell her she can, and she will not. We are excited to get this book, although postal in Canada is not being very helpful, but it will be coming. And we're going to talk about hemp and cannabis and all of those good things today. Jackie, thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you. And I'm sorry there was a little bit of a technical issue earlier.
Oh man, we're so Canadian. I'm sorry.
Listen, I am sorry, and I feel sorry for Rodney that he had to. And Deliciously Dope. It's really cool. I used the hour that we were sort of figuring what happened and what's going on. I used that to do some investigating, and I consider social media like I say what I do on social media is I have real estate. Like every page I have and everything I have is all it's my real estate. So that right now that 2 million followers verified page is blocked, and that's really killing me. So I was looking to see, and Rodney Dope, Delicious Dope. How do I say it?
Deliciously Dope.
That's Rodney. Deliciously
Dope. He's really cool. He's got a lot of cool videos and all kinds of great engagement. And I was digging in. I was like, I gotta see who's taking over for me, because I am about this far to quit this whole shebang.
No. Sweetling, we're sorry. I don't know what somebody did, but I'm sorry on their behalf. Don't do it.
So I haven't been able to smoke weed in 7 weeks. Which I'm still getting my share of oils and edibles. You're getting
it in there. You're getting your medicine.
Yes, and as soon as I reached out to, I did a post to tell everyone I was taking a break from social media because I was going in for some surgery, and so many people sent me stuff. Not just our friends and family and our loved ones in the legacy market, but also I was surprised that some suits and some LPs stepped up and were like, "Here, you've done so much. We'd like to gift you something." I was like, "Whoa, that's unheard of."
That's incredible.
So I'm in good hands. I'm healing nice and no coughing. And so I can't join you in a sesh. I can't while we're chatting. No, but just know I'm staying high.
You're elevated. You're getting your medicine and all of that incredible.
You're with us in smoke spirit.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with you in smoke spirit. I have a question before we start asking each other questions and stuff. What does the hemp farmer do in the winter?
Ooh, she plans. She plots and she plans. And there are a couple other clients that have come across my desk that Canna Collective is going to be incredibly excited to showcase, one of which is going to be the first in the world in terms of what regulations and what we're able to kind of not skirt around, but break that red tape. So
right.
we have some fun stuff coming up of our sleeve or down.
So like in May, April, May.
Okay. Usually, and it doesn't even discriminate against acres, regardless of size. We should be planting before June 11th.
I lost you.
Pardon?
I lost you. There we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Technical difficulties, not on my watch. No.
No, it wasn't you.
Oh, no.
Me. Okay, go on. Sorry, no, Danica, like paprika.
No, you're good. Anybody that's planting hemp or anybody that's planting a crop knows if you need crop insurance, which everybody, and it's not a secret, everybody should have crop insurance when you're doing large scale like that. So we're looking at mid-June is when you should have your seeds in the ground.
Okay.
We have some really fun clients coming this season and some really cool videos. We're excited about that.
This is fun. This is good. So COVID's changed a ton for all of us. I mean, the whole world is virtual now. Is that helping or hurting your hemp situation?
That's so funny. I love you so much because you're the interviewer and you're strong. You still managed to be me.
I don't want to talk about me. I wrote a book. It's embarrassing. It's about being a drug addict and a homeless.
I know.
And then I go, I'm farmer free, but now I just had plastic surgery, so I'm farmered up from head to fucking toe. Excuse my language. Everything just seems like such a bunch of BS. So that's why I'm like, let me just ask Danica some questions.
No, but you're good. And that's what I honestly, and I completely appreciate that. And that's what I love mostly about you too, is that you are no BS, right? Like there's never been that point. And we talk about censorship and PACC we're anti-censorship. Mm-hmm. But this has been an issue for you even before we federally legalized in Canada, right? You have always been indiscriminately and unapologetically you. And that is freaking awesome. And now bringing cannabis into that and you sharing your story, that's what we want to hear.
So let me jump in. Yes, because I worked for the Naked News. I traveled the world doing news, weather, and sports nude. So people either loved it or hated it.
Wait, you got paid to do that? I did that shit drunk, and they just threw me in jail.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I think she's prettier than you naked.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
So the Naked News is, the news, weather, and sports, whatever. So I started posting all that on social media, and the page went from like 12,000 to 1 million to 2 million real fast. The blue check mark came around 12,000. I didn't even apply for it, or I didn't send it. It just was there all of a sudden. And I started still doing what I was doing for Naked News, but I was earning a great living on Facebook as well. Like people from all over the world buying ads or sending me stuff, and plus, post this, we'll pay you this or do this. It was amazing. And then I lost that page without warning for almost a year, and we peeled and got lots of people that knew what the hell they were doing involved, and they were writing letters, and yes, lawyers, right, were involved, and
we're writing letters.
Yes. So then I got the page back. But during that time, I started Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all these other things. And they started giving me restrictions and blocks and all that as well. And I would always put the free the nipple hashtag and whatever. And I got really pissed off. Like I was just done with it. Then I started sharing my cannabis journey and publicly sharing like what was going on in my life with cannabis. And I lost all of my mainstream sponsors and all my mainstream advertisers. They didn't want to, even though it was legal, and they didn't want to touch it. So I was like, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm good with, I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping to end the stigma. We're keeping the conversation going. I don't look, if we're going to look like a typical cannabis user, I don't set, like, there's just a different, what do we look like? We look like us, really. You know what I mean? But
I had a lot. People are like, you don't look like you smoke weed. And I'm like, what does that look like?
Exactly. So, like, to help end the stigma, destigmatize, whatever, I kept talking about it. Then it was hard to, like, which side are you? Gray market, black market, red market, yellow. They call it all these things. I'm like, you know what? I'm just me. And I was sort of navigating and bouncing from side to side. Then my social media was getting shut down all the time. Plus I was losing my sponsorships and my whatever. And I was like, okay, you first you didn't like me naked. Now you don't like me high. You definitely don't like me naked and high. You know? So, and then people would say, well, what the hell does sex have to do with cannabis anyhow? Well, it doesn't, but I'm who I am. So we can all get all pissy about what does that, but I am who I am. And part of who I am uses cannabis. And what, Rodney?
I have a strong opinion that agrees with you. I've been a chef all of my life, so we just automatically judge people off the bat. That's just what happens. We're very cynical because we've heard it before, right? And
that order.
No, it's terrible. It's narcissistic. It's toxic as shit. Like that was, I'm a recovering narcissist. I'll be the first one to admit that. And that was driven by, wave after wave of baptism via whiskey each night. So, living a life of that with, gratitude to wake up and deal with another screaming narcissist, I really look at different people in cultures. And instead of like celebrating what, we shouldn't take anything away from anybody. We should just be celebrating our differences versus like, like restricting shit. Like it's just insane. To go back to more to your point, what does a person that smokes weed look like? What is the stigma you have in your head? Because if you're like, yo, homie, I smoke weed, like people are gonna be like, okay. And then it's interesting because it's how you say it to a person. Not saying you said it wrong or anything, but people are so judgmental on that. And that is my point. We shouldn't be judgmental right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? We should be like, okay, but why? Just add 2 more words to that, but why? And that'll paint a whole different picture for people, hopefully.
So once I gave my reason why I smoke weed and what I feel about it, but then again, that I've sort of evolved in that too, to now I don't give a shit. And to think I have a soon to be 23-year-old son. He's a bud tender. He's growing his own. And I raised him to say no to everything. And now we have the most amazing relationship. And we have a phenomenal, phenomenal relationship. We have a it's a lot to do with cannabis and the cannabis conversations. And I think a lot of people they're just so judgmental, or they're so stuck. They're so stuck where I evolved. I wasn't who I was 3 years ago, but that's a good thing. Right? And then the people want to say, well, that's not what she was saying before. That's not what she looked like before. That's not what she was. I evolved. I'm sorry. You were right. I was wrong. Next. Exactly. And that's the state of our world too. Like where you said you could celebrate our differences. If it's that easy, I don't have to be gay. I don't have to be black. I don't have to be whatever. I appreciate and enjoy I celebrate all of us. You're teaching me. I fucking love when I listen. My best friend is Indigenous. Listen to her talk about the food they make and the places they go. And the jewelry. I'm like the dumbest person in this room, and I love it. I want to be here and learning. Exactly. Like when the guys at Cannabis Wiki would put on the dance hall music and they start talking about everyone, and I'm like, okay, right now I'm learning. This is awesome. Like, this is an experience. Like, I'm grateful for these experiences. And the state of America, I'm so sorry, Rodney, because God love it. I love America. I hate what's going on right now. It's the most beautiful country. And I love happy hour.
It's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
And And I am fucking sorry that it's got this great divide. Whether we own Trump's book. Like, we're sorry that it went this way.
We are.
If you would have read the book, if people voting back then, 4 years ago, had read that damn book and been like, he can't spell half these fucking words, they'd have voted differently. Here's the thing.
I thought it might have been a good thing. I'm like, okay, he's not a politician. They can clean the shit up. They can get rid of their little whatever. It might be good. And now I'm like, so sorry.
No. Here's the thing. When I was still living in Toronto, when the whole, he had started his campaign, and I saw the signs, and I mean that with pun intended.
I saw the signs.
Ace of
Base, yeah.
There we go. Truly, though, when he built a Canadian hotel, like a Trump Canadian, and at the very top, 21 floors up, an entire pane times 4 just legitimately fell off, and there was a civilian that missed it by a meter. It was a thing in Toronto, and I was like, your building is falling apart. You're clearly not paying attention.
The reason that he has to build tall buildings is because he has penis envy.
He's got some little head.
Happy. Melina never was happy.
And his wife, yes. Everyone can come at me and school me, educate me on Melania Trump. I think she's gorgeous. But should she
Hi, Ellen.
Should she be the first lady or whatever? I don't know. 75 million people voted for him. Let's move on from Trump because we're going to fuel a lot of fires.
Yes.
I know, that's the thing.
It's
actually
I'm just going to use those fires to light my joint. That's cool.
We're not allowed to talk about politics, and here we go. I mean, believe what you want, and we respect everything and all that, but we could go days and days with that one. What we're here now is that here we grow. Mm-hmm. Because we're moving on, we're moving forward, and all of that good, beautiful stuff. So,
hey, well, the last Prisoner Project, they got, didn't he pardon a few cannabis inmates were pardoned at the last minute?
He did.
And Biden is changing a few things, right? Don't we think?
Yep. Biden, the one good thing that Biden just did that I really, really appreciate, and I voted for him because let's face it, I was in the same nightmare for 4 years, and I was like, it's the only way to get out. So
right.
I voted for Biden. I will disclose that. Am I a Democrat? No, but I did vote for Biden. That's what I will disclose. I'm not a leftist. I'm an American fucking citizen. I pay my taxes, okay?
You're a human being.
Exactly. If you guys are going to sit there in that fancy ass little building not knowing who I am and I ain't never met you and you're going to take my money, we'll talk about that in a different story. But if you're not going to listen to what I have to say and use democracy and diplomacy the right fucking way, maybe we should switch places. Maybe you should take a walk in my life, because trust me, you've never had to, scrape and beg to make $50K in a year as a chef without health insurance. Walk a mile in my fucking shoes once. I'd love to walk a fucking day in your shoes. You understand? I'd change some shit, because it's all about perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's all about perspective. Again, here we grow. It's not just talking about growing cannabis. It's growing as people. If we don't grow, exactly. If we don't grow, then what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? We're just as bad as the people we're bitching about.
I agree.
You first, Lovely.
Me?
Yeah, you go.
Oh, well, it's funny. Well, everyone was complaining about Republicans and Democrats and whatever. I was like, well, what am I? And my husband's like, I think we're Republicans, actually, Jackie. Would we have voted for Trump? No. But because we're Canadian, but we're not. My husband is American, and my family everyone's in America, in Arizona or Georgia, or throughout the states. So it is close to home for me, and the borders being closed and all this COVID stuff. Will you guys get the vaccine?
Not yet.
Not yet. I will never. Not yet. I will never, and I will tell you why. And I legitimately just spoke about this. And we will have our good friend from Kathmandu on the show, so we're excited. Okay. But everybody, this would have been 2018, late 2018, telling me to get the booster. Horrible, I'm not. And I have a phobia of needles. So full disclosure.
So do I.
I lied.
Not me.
Oh no, I thought you said so do I. I lied.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Janika.
Sorry.
We're not funny now.
No, I'm sorry.
No, but so it was a really incredible conference, and it was probably, I think, 75 people. Every single person got sick, like definitely ill. Guess who didn't?
You? And you were the only one that,
I was the only one who did not get the vaccine, and I lied and said that I did. And even I was like, okay, that's fine, because I have a phobia of needles. I'm not on that team.
Right.
I was the only one who did not get sick. Like, I mean, there's jet lag, there's general, you know what I mean?
Right.
I did not get ill. Every single other person did. So, to answer your question, I will not be getting the vaccine.
I will.
Well,
if it's my only way.
Tell me why.
So, because I said I've been in my house for a year. I travel the world weekly. My family all lives in the States. I have a feeling that in the next few weeks or months, it will be the only way I can travel internationally. It's the only way I could get on a major airplane. I think it's just going to be, I'm just going to have to. And I've had influenza B, and I never got flu shots before. I never did anything, but I had influenza B. And let me tell you, I have just had major surgery. And the pain and the exhaustion and the sick that I felt from influenza B is 10 times worse than what I've just gone through surgery. The flu was so it was so bad. And I was in Arizona. I thought I was actually like taking cute pictures of like my feet, and like when I was awake, I'd take a picture of like a flower. I thought it was like people would find these things on my phone or myself. Like I thought I was dead. Fast forward to going to Lyft. That's where I got COVID.
Oh my, okay. Ooh, okay. That just got very, very interesting, because that is the last time that we saw each other.
Yep. So when I came home from Lyft, 2 days later, 48 hours, less than 48 hours later.
You touched that I did not, because that is the only time that I've been tested. And it's because I came back from Lyft when you interviewed me.
I interviewed 41 people. I think it was 41 in total. We aired
42.
42. Okay. And a couple of the people were really sick. So we had hand sanitizer, and we were just like, okay, well, Jack, because I'm huggy and kissy and whatever, I just won't do that. We won't, we'll just sit, we hand sanitize, we sprayed. I'm like, here's a mint. Like, we're kind of, because we weren't talking about COVID, because this was in January.
No.
Exactly. But when I got home, and then I was sick, and then the rest of the team all got sick, one after the other, and they were deathly sick, and it lasted a long time. And we were asking for like going to the hospital and asking for inhalers or shots or something, and no one could help any of us. Then my DMs got flooded by doctors and lawyers and dentists and everyone that was at the Lyft convention to tell me how sick they were.
That's so crazy. Wow. Because now, oh my gosh, I remember after like just doing follow-up to be like, hey, thanks for, interviewing me. This is a good time. And you were like, hey, sorry, I am sick AF. I don't have time. And I was like, oh, okay. 2 months later, cut 2. So that's when I got tested. And I was like, do I have time? So we were on the precipice. And also for our sweet American friends, the biggest hub, the biggest hub is generally Vancouver, coming in from
Vancouver.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. That's exactly, they said, because first of all, because isn't that where all the ships and everything come in, and where we're all, and it was at the time of our Lyft convention, I believe there was also an international doctor convention or something happening at the same
conventions. Our Lyft was going on, the doctors convention, and then there was a marine convention. I do not know what was going on with that. I wish I did now, but
so there's something new in Canadian news.
What? That COVID?
No, it was from 2 years ago, actually. Sorry, but it's saying puff in public. Ontario allows adults to smoke weed anywhere tobacco is allowed. That's pretty cool.
You can't do that in Michigan?
No.
You don't have. Oh.
There's certain. Okay, so. Okay, you guys, it's just federally legal. You know, the states or however you provinces or whatever can break it down.
No, but
It's local law.
Hold on, I have to interrupt you super quickly.
Sure.
It is, but it's the same way that it is regulated with tobacco. So if there's a school bus, for instance, if you're consuming cannabis, it needs to be 150. I believe it's 150 meters. So there are still regulations, and those like don't come too close.
Same as cigarettes.
Yeah, it's just common sense. I mean, you don't smoke it around your kids. That's just really what it is.
Well, but Canada's trying to push all that as well. There's a lot of moms, a lot of weed moms.
Which hey, they're super moms if you ask me. Now I know how my mom got through being a cook and a chef, you know. And but in the States. So in the States, there's some states where absolutely not. You know, they'll put you in jail for having a weed shirt, you know, detain you and ask you. There's some states that are just stupid, you know, against it. And then there's some states like Michigan where we're like, yo, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like, it's the Wild West right now. But there's certain regulations and there's a lot of testing that's going on, both on the commercial side and the retail side and things of that nature. We have the documentation and the correct people in the correct places to do what we want to do here in Michigan. By that, I mean, obviously, like you guys are saying, 150 meters from a bus, you know, don't smoke a cigarette, you know, obviously.
I don't work for this.
No, right. But I'm just saying, like the moral, code and ethics code there is obviously don't smoke around your kids. Let's distance that. You know, they're really trying to go through because we have this program called DARE. DARE means drugs are really expensive. No, I'm joking. It really doesn't. But we all had to go through it more. Some of us more than others. I moved like right when I did DARE once, and then I moved to a new city in Tennessee, and then had to do DARE again because they had it, you know, the year after, just so they had enough cops. And then I moved to Michigan and had DARE again.
Did you say in Tennessee?
Yeah.
I have family in Tennessee too, and all around Dollywood, like Gatlinburg and all those.
Nice, yeah. Mine are on the other side, but yeah, I know exactly where that's at.
Oh, it's cool. I could tell you an interesting story. It's not cute. It's far from cute. When we're not online.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Live worthy or is this PG like?
Well, I can't say it online because it's really kind of sad. And it was like a traumatic, massive thing in my family. But it's very newsworthy and it's very interesting. But I didn't want to bring it up while we're on social media.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I respect that.
I thought of something for the giveaway for the book. Mm-hmm. Could someone screenshot this? Anyone watching or listening on any of the social medias, couldn't they just screenshot it and tag us all, share it in their stories, and then you guys can randomly decide who wins the book because it's freaking cool.
Absolutely,
it is, and I'm gangbuster for whatever makes sense. And I genuinely heard that term from my 8-year-old nephew the other day, and I really need to stop saying it because
your game.
No, gangbuster. And I was
gangbusters. What does it mean?
I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, it means it's amazing. And I was like, okay. And for some reason, it's now in my vernacular. And I was like, okay. I'm now like the weird old aunt that's like, I'm cool too. I'm not. So.
I get that. I'm like the weird old plastic woman trying to stay relevant.
Oh, baby, you're so relevant. And what I love about your relevance is that you've seen it from inception to fruition, right? Like where it was kind of cute to talk about marijuana, to talk about alternatives. You went through the pharma and then you've implemented your own way. And actually, Chef Ronnie and I were talking about this earlier with somebody who, my papa has diabetes. He has diabetes, and he was explaining how he microdosed himself, right?
He's also Canadian.
Pardon me?
I said he was also Canadian.
Right, yeah. We're Canadians are the best, sorry.
Sorry. Canadians are the best,
sorry. But genuinely, and it's one of those things where it's knowing your body and it's doing that, and you've done a really good job of doing that. And I mean, let's be honest, it does not hurt that you're hot as fuck.
Okay, as far as advertising goes, sex sells. So
It's true. Like it's true. And I really try not to swear on my segments. I really do. But when you see that, and that's why I do talk about that, because it's not an uneducated way that you're approaching it. You're using your platform to get that educated message out. So, hey, here's the thing. If statistically, 67% of males want to see naked blondes, great. But here's the thing. That's not your message. And that is hitting other people. So, like we joke, but do what we can do to get it out there.
I love when women start following me and then they message me and said, I just started following you because my husband's been liking all your pictures for the last few years, and holy shit, you're cool.
That's
you got, like, I just had a really cool lady message me today. She's like, I'd love to have you on my podcast. Like, she's like, I did a deep dive and you're like there's a lot going on.
Multifaceted superwoman.
Yeah.
Maybe you've come for the boobs, but hopefully you stay for the brains.
You should quote that. Jackie Childs, come from the boobs, stay for the brains.
No, one of my, and I was so humbled when I spoke at Amy and Kevin. I really hope we love Amy and Kevin. Their first Muskoka event.
Muskoka Cannabis Festival.
Yeah. It was so incredible. And that's where it really brought an organic kind of pop-up but educated feel to everything. And I'm watching you, Amy. But that was the first panel, and the woman beside me who did public relations also,
Sarah,
quoted Jackie, randomly quoted, and it was so, I loved everything about that, because Jackie is being quoted saying, do you
want me to say it?
Yes, please. Thank you.
If they don't invite you to their table, build your own damn table and invite them to yours.
Can I add mine to it? Because I'm a chef.
Sure.
We have a little saying. I know what I bring to the table, so it doesn't really bother me to eat alone.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
And you know what? That freaking table I built and invited, I burned it to the ground 30 times. Just kidding.
Time to build a table again.
I disagree with that. I don't think that you ever burnt it. I think, same with you, Chef Rodney. I think that both, and like with you with culinary, but Jackie, with you with inspiring, and like you are somebody that people look at on, like you said, like tits and ass in the nicest way. People love to look at that, facts. But your message is so incredibly powerful with, that's nice. We can look at, TNA all day long, but you don't ever stop inspiring, or, if somebody's ever asked you something, hey, how can I do this? Or what does this mean for me as a stepping stone? And I don't think a lot of people do that. And that's why I love working with you so much. It's really
I love it. I like saying, how can I help? Or how can how can I be of service? Like, how do you, I love that. Like it slowly, all of this, even through the censorship and losing the pages, and now with the restrictions and the blocks and whatever, it has forced me to grow. It has forced me to evolve. So here we grow for real. I've had to pivot. I hate that word. And sort of my message has stayed the same. Live for you. It's not a dress rehearsal. We've got one life. Do you. But are you adding value to the space you're in? Are you adding value to the conversations? Are you kind? Like, we don't all have to get along. We do not all have to be best friends. We don't all have to agree on anything. But we don't need to be unkind. That's just where you've lost me. There's a lot of, there's a lot of meanness and hate and anger right now. Everybody shouting and nobody listening. And I feel a lot of that has happened to me over the years on social media, where I'm just literally shouting and I'm censored and I'm blocked and I'm whatever. And then I also, as much as like the sex sells, pisses me off if I have a serious message and it's, at the beginning of COVID, my dad had a stroke, and they live in Georgia, and there's COVID and borders are closed, and my mom is alone, and and there's just a lot going on, and the tone of the environment on social media was so aggressive. When I shared the story, I'm getting like nice boobs and nice this, and who is this bitch? Oh, this has nothing to do with cannabis. Like just all kinds of it. I'm like, I need to take a step back from all of this, because how did you guys get here is what I'm wondering. Like, how did the community that on my social media grow to such an aggressive, ugly place? So I started to look around. I started to watch the news some more, which I don't recommend.
Don't do that.
But it's an ugly, ugly time right now. And we need to do our very best, all of us. If you can't say anything nice, try your freaking hardest. Shh. We want to prove our point. We want to be right. We want to be heard. But there's so much hurt and there's so much anger. Like, and coming also from the cannabis community, like, aren't we supposed to smoke some weed and chill a little bit? Like, let me just smoke a joint and think on that. That's what I used to say all the time. Now I react and I fly. That's not how it should be. Let me smoke a joint and think about this. Like, be a nicer place. Kinder community.
I completely agree with that. And I think you put it as eloquently as you could, right? Like, people are just like very, very quick to fly off the handle. Actually, Steph, Rodney and I were talking about that the other day. It's just everybody's going kind of for the jugular, and it's like, it's not the time.
And I just want to know one thing with the people that attack us, because it's already happened to me being young into this this industry. It's a different industry for me, so I say that, and I'm all for it. I've already been personally attacked. I've had death threats already, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Excuse my French. Sorry, Nana. But the point is, like,
it's crazy.
It is. I want to know one thing. I want to ask them this. When they're yelling and screaming at me, be like, all right, time out. Who hurt you?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know.
Wasn't me.
And it's just like, I didn't do anything to you. Like, time out. Like, this has nothing to, like, where is it even coming from? And so I can say with certainty one thing, if I may, and then, we'll get back into it. The things that I've always been afraid of have never let me down. You understand? So I've always been afraid of, like, in the kitchen growing up, you're always like, yo, hey, am I going to get out on time? Like, what's going on? There's a lot of uncertainties. And those uncertainties are what we're surrounded with. We're surrounded with that issue, with that problem in the heat of the moment, real quick. You can die. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people die next to me. It's insane. And that's why, Miss Danika's here. Like, you have to write a book. If you don't, I'm going to beat your ass. Her words exactly.
Are you going to write a book?
I have to, or I'm going to get my ass beat. So that's really what happened. But yes, I do.
It's a very cathartic. Like, it's a very good thing to do. It puts you in a very, and you can read it back and pull it back. And I laugh. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this isn't even as bad as I was.
Right.
And that's why I was so excited to have you. And I was saying to my CFO, who weirdly is like my spiritual guru, she knows who she is. And she was like, literature is coming into your life because we have the book giveaway that we're doing. Jackie is a best-selling author, so she's already done that. She's already seen.
Then I'm going to be emailing you some questions, and like, because I'm curious. And Danica has a lot of answers for me, and she's Danica, I'll be honest with you, is for the short little time, in the span of things to come that I've known you, I have learned a lot from you, and I appreciate that. I have to say this though: if you don't stop saying you're sorry for things, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it.
I know. It's not going to happen because I
say that facetiously.
Sorry, we're good.
It's a very Canadian thing. I'm sorry. I go about life freaking sorry.
And that's exactly it. But that, to your point, Jackie, as an author, I mean, what did that look like? Was that like a huge, like you said,
it was cathartic.
Okay, I had I think there's 2.7 million followers on the verified page. and it was 90% or 89% male. So I have a team that helps with everything, and it was basically to get the female audience and the female attention. It was like, okay, they make the major financial decisions. They're the ones that are, when you're going to the drugstore, you're going to Walmart, whatever, it's usually the mom, the wife, the woman in the family. So because the brand, Jackie Childs became like an incorporated brand and everything. And we needed to get the women, we needed to have the women viewer, the women audience. We needed the woman, the decision, the head of the family, not the male voice. We needed so we wrote a story. I started to write my story, and I had 16 months to do it. I changed a couple times the direction of it, and it was really, really, really therapeutic. It was really, I cried nonstop, and then I was looking at old pictures. Pardon?
In a good way, like,
oh yeah, like I was okay with it. It was okay, and it also, like, I had conversations with my son that he had never that he'd never heard or didn't know, and even with my husband now of 10 years, Drewy, to share things that all these memories and things that were coming up, and then also to know that my son and my husband, I can share all of this honestly and raw, and although like my parents are not happy. A lot of people in the family were really not happy about the book, really not happy. They were fine, and they were good, and they were solid, and they were going to stay with me through it all, whether it was a big hit or whether it was a disaster or whether it never even got published, whether I didn't actually send the final draft off and let it go. But I remember the night of the final draft and it was just I was like, oh my God, I'm saying so much. And I don't look all edited and curated and filtered. I look really bad in this book. But it worked. I got a ton of speaking engagements at women's conferences and to speak with women's groups and to be like, you portray yourself one way on social media. Why do we not know this? I'm like, well, there's lots to me. And everything was going woo until I started talking about cannabis. And I think because I'm so stubborn and I hate censorship and I hate being told no is why I continue to talk about cannabis. So
that's why we do it.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure the amount of things I have lost really don't equal the real stuff I've gained since talking about cannabis. So financially, I've taken a hit here and there, and but I've also reaped some amazing rewards, like as far as my health, my relationship, the things I've seen in the last almost 3 years now from the cannabis community. I pinch myself all the time. I'm like, can you believe this? Like, it's just been yes, there's been some crazy times and some nonsense, but I mean, it's part of life, and that's like the show. That's how we continue to grow.
As the French would say, c'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Parlez-vous français un petit peu?
That's the thing. And by the way, Jackie's book, I actually tried to buy it on Amazon the other day. It's sold out.
So is it? Like, I remember there was a link on Amazon, and ones that starts with a K. And it was just they'll only send you the digital version, no more hard copy. I bought hard copy when they were in chapters, and I got to do my book signing around chapters, and they're on the shelves. I was just like, I took a million pictures and videos and whatever. I couldn't believe, I had friends from high school message me, and this is funny or not, they're like, I didn't even know you could read a book. Never mind write a book.
Like, that's me. I don't know that. That's mean.
I don't care because I know I can read a book. Like,
there
so
you go.
And you know what else? The dumb blonde or the laugh, because I laugh a lot. It's part of my anxiety and my nerves. I have, that's why I was medicated in the first place for anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and that's how I transitioned to cannabis. And it was my father-in-law, who's in his 70s, that pushed the entire time for me to get smoking weed, and start using CBD and start using it. So I don't actually care about those sort of comments or the rolling your eyes or your second guessing things. You can use it as a superpower. Just turn it around. They don't expect, right?
And I need to comment on this because it's an internal joke. And we won't go into the actual serious details, but somebody stole a hairbrush from me the day that you interviewed me in Vancouver. And what I know, it's like, we will talk about that offline because it's actually very, very funny.
This is awkward because I heard the story, but I don't know why. Okay.
What this relevance is to what we're talking
I was
about
just
right
like,
now?
it's a hairbrush, so I don't know the other side of like the inside joke, but I know the story, so I'm just like, okay.
Okay, hold on. I will explain it. What's relevant about that is that, like you were saying, you have 2 point, X a million followers and all of that and photos done. I was super nervous to be interviewed by you, considering I didn't have a hairbrush and my hair looked like, we will not say garbage, but it's super
you looked fine and you were fun.
And that's exactly my point, is that you made me feel so incredibly comfortable because showing up, I was like, oh my gosh, like this.
I thought you looked great and you're super fun and you're interesting. So it was good.
But you have that essence about you, is that you bring everybody into that like really vibrant, amazing circle, because I did not feel good that day.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate
it. It's one of those kind of, oh my gosh, the word escapes me, but it's one of those very cool and rare things where you can bring somebody in and just say, hey, like, no stress. Don't worry about what you're saying. It does not matter that you didn't brush your hair today. But actually making somebody feel comfortable and in your circle. And that is I've followed you for a long time. And
so I appreciate this. And these things, what we're talking about right now, while I'm on the cusp or on the border, whether I'm going to delete it all and disappear, I love hearing it. And I love knowing that I inspired someone. The event in Lyft, whether I agree with corporate everything and whether I agree, like I've said, I walk the fine line. I'm very both sides. I mean, I don't have to buy cannabis. I have a designated grower. I grow enough for, I don't need that. Yeah. So but that event, I got to interview a lot of people that I am not friends with, a lot of women that are inspiring and interesting, but we were never friends. Or I interviewed 2 women that we've actually have each other blocked on all social media, and they had to come to my table and be interviewed for 20 minutes and then do the Q&A questions and the pictures and all that stuff. And we're blocked on each other's social medias. There's 2 women that I interviewed at that. And we hugged and talked and we made some things right. And that's like, if we're going to practice what we preach, spread kindness, and we're not all going to get along, and peace and love, that's not just peace and love for the people you agree with. It's for humanity. It's towards our fellow, especially the ones that don't. Like, if we could bring the narrative down a bit, calm the aggression a little, and give the peace and love. And I used my own, that's what I was using Lyft for, whether I agree with those sort of, and like the same with, I won that O'Cannabis award, but I didn't go to O'Cannabis. I only did the speaking convention in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I didn't go, I wasn't there. I wasn't at the dinner when they gave me my award. They had to give it to me while I was speaking the next day. Same with Lyft. I went to Lyft this year to the party, to the dinner that I was sitting with friends. It's not what I came to cannabis for. And I think there's a misconception that look at me. Look at all the free stuff I get because I'm an influencer. Actually, guys, I don't get anything free, because anything that is given to me is given with an expectation, because I'm an
you have to work for it.
I have to work right. And
hold on. I love you so much, Chef. May I do need to interject there, because that's exactly it. People don't understand that when we're talking about IP, your brand and what you're doing, exactly to your point, is nothing is for free. Like, it's not free to stay up until, you know what I mean, 2 a.m. doing a giveaway, or, you know, you doing and this thing that nothing about this is free. And what you're doing is spreading a really incredible, powerful message. So I'm very, very happy that you said that, because it's not getting giveaways. You're working for those companies.
Definitely. And when we're talking about influencers, that triggers people, and like sex sells, and what has this got to do with this, and what is this? I am who I am. The audience is there. And actually, like, the ban now that I have on Instagram and Facebook was for sharing that poster for a persons of color town hall meeting for equity, equality, and inclusion. That's why I lost my page for 30 days. The page that I earned my living on, I lost for sharing that charity in the cannabis community. So I do get, like, I'm like, oh, I've done so much. And yes,
that would cause animosity for sure. But I have to say one thing, having known you very briefly, if I will, you're not done.
No,
you're not done. You're gonna get bored. You'll quit it, and you'll come right back with a vengeance.
You'll get bored. So yeah, I don't know, God. I don't know. The way things are right now, the way social media is right now, especially like Facebook, is just angry.
It's toxic.
It's that's the perfect word.
I got nothing with Facebook, and I hate to use poor grammar, but like genuinely, that's the only term that I can come up with. I got nothing.
Yeah, like how I feel about social media right now is I just, maybe this great reset or this pause, I really need to take a step back. I need to get away, like just step away from a bit. Anyhow, it's just,
you know, in order to throw any good punt.
Wait, sir, you first.
Sorry, nope, you first, ladies first. My mama raised me right. You go ahead.
Chivalry is not that. I was just going to say, what concerns me about that is there are a vast majority of people that genuinely should take a seat and should not be using social media.
I agree.
You are not one of them. So it concerns me that, you know, Facebook, for instance, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm calling you out publicly. You should not be one that's taking a seat, because your message is so powerful, and you're so easy to work with, and you're so what's the word that I'm looking for? Malleable, in the sense that you like, okay, cool, this is okay, it's cannabis, it's hemp, it's THC specifically, let's do it. Whereas we're still allowing naked children to be posted on Facebook, and I call BS on that. I will publicly call it on that now.
There's a lot of There's a lot of inappropriate, immoral, just a mess on social media.
Talk about our medicine and our, you know what I mean, agriculture, and our, like, I don't, and that's why, like, when you joke, like, oh, like, I'll quit for a moment. No, you are the person that cannot quit.
So both you fine ladies would agree that Facebook is a piece of shit. Oh, I use fine as, I'm not saying fine in a very derogatory term. You know, hang on. I say fine as in, like, you're a fine person. Like, you have, you know, a refinement to you. You're not a piece of shit.
I showered for this. I am fine.
All right.
I showered.
So you both would agree
I love you.
that
I did shower.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You would agree that, you know, Facebook and Instagram, you know, them coming down on, like, just the use of cannabis is atrocious, really.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I made Deliciously Dope TV Network, because they told me you cannot have a cannabis show, you know, anywhere. And then you see it, you know, on Bong Appetit, and you see it on Netflix, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm friends with people on those shows. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know some people that were on there. I don't know if I have permission to drop their names, but
look at
I know them.
Stewart and Snoop Dogg.
Exactly. And so then they're like, you can't do this. I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense because he's doing it. And then they told me, well, that's fine. Okay, but you can't have a show. Well, now I've got a bunch of them. You know what I'm saying?
Good for you.
And then they said, you can't sell those shows to a network. All right, fuck it. I'll build it. That's what I did. I have just been, clawing my way away from these things. I'm just going to be malleable. That's the term that I wanted to kind of be fluid with.
I guess that's like I said, pivot. I guess that's kind of like
right.
I don't know. I keep getting censored and keep getting shut down and keep getting reported and whatever. And I keep going. But I think more than cannabis, more than the talk about cannabis and more than the talk about whatever it is really like I was trying to touch on, and spreading kindness is more than a hashtag, and it's more than that. And it's very easy to spread kindness to the people in your circle. It's very easy to spread kindness to your buddy on Facebook. It's very easy to spread kindness to the crabby old coot you talk to every day. How about spreading kindness outside of your bubble, outside of your comfort zone, I think that's the magic, and that's where we will really grow. That's where, 100%. and then when we which is what I tried to do with the Green Room, with my podcast, that why we were at Lyft in the first place it was a really good idea to invite people that I would be uncomfortable with, or that would challenge me in the way I spoke to them, and the way because if I invite you to my table, it's not there to treat you like shit. I'm there to, I wanted a comfortable, enjoyable, engaging, interesting conversation. And then to me, it also wasn't about more likes and more shares and more views. It was like a human connection. I wanted to, we're all misunderstood right now. And there's so much noise, and there's it's just, maybe because I'm far from perfect. I say that all the time to everyone to remind you, I am far from perfect. Those pictures might be all filtered and edited and all whatever, but there's a real flawed, messed up human behind them. But where I feel I've nailed it, and I am an expert, is on kindness, because I have been on the lowest of the lows, in the bottom of the barrel, naked, penniless, hungry. And I refuse to treat anyone how I was treated and how I treated myself. I would never do that to another person, ever. And what better community than the cannabis community, where they're so challenging, and they're so, for me to just keep, I'm just going to keep pounding this. You guys can block me and hate me, and this group doesn't like me, and this group doesn't like me. I'm just going to keep coming and coming and coming, because kill them with kindness.
And this is, I'm going to respectfully interject. You hear a lot of what people want to do and what their plan is. You talk the talk and you walk the walk. So when you say that that's how you're going to treat an interviewee or whatever it is that you're up to, you never deviate from that. And so what we add, all this incredible, intellect and knowledge and expertise, you do it all the time with every single person, being kind. So I mean,
I'm going to tell you an interesting story real quick, because we should wrap this up soon, because people are going to screenshot this, put it in their Instagrams or Facebook, whatever, and tag us. And then you guys will pick who will win this amazing book. And it's How Hemp Can Change the World. Is that what it's? And it's written. It's actually on hemp.
It is. Somebody screenshot that.
Yeah, so somebody screenshot this. Tag it, and put this in your stories. Somebody will. Somebody will screenshot.
Absolutely.
So it's amazing. So I was going to tell you, now this, I probably shouldn't share this story, but at this point, I don't owe anybody anything. So during Lyft, Cannabis Wiki is very, very corporate. Cannabis Wiki is very, they are corporate. They're very, they're very serious, and they're very legit. And so we're at Lyft. We have all the 42 interviews, all different walks of lives for all areas of cannabis. And we get, I won't say from what company, but we get a CEO from a certain company, and they're thrilled. And I'm like, he wasn't scheduled. And they're like, we're going to make time for him because we are. And I'm like, okay. So then his PR people, the person we're going to make time for, he had PR people come over and hand me a list of questions. And she went like that. And I slid the questions back to her. And I said, I don't do that. And she said, oh, no, these are what we need to touch on. I said, no, I can't. And so then she gets Wiki involved, like my bosses and everyone, like manager, director, everyone in the production team. She's like, he's coming over now. These are what we need to touch on. This is the media release. This is what's like, and she doesn't, and they're like, why won't you do it? I'm like, because I can't be told what to say. I'm not saying, they're like, you can't just ask these 4 questions. I'm like, nope, give them to one of those guys. I will not, I'm not going to be censored, control. Exactly. You're not going to tell me what's coming in and out of my mouth. That's not the job I signed up for. Had I have, maybe if I was in a different position, or if it's and they're like, do you know what this means? I'm like, it means one of you guys are going to interview him. That's what it means.
That's when you go, hey, I didn't know you could read, Mike.
So that's what we did. And I was polite to the gentleman. I was very polite. I did the pictures and I did the interview. But then afterwards in our meeting, they're like, what was that about? I'm like, that is my point. My point is I can't be censored. I can't be filtered. This isn't what cannabis is about to me. I don't care. This guy's a slug as far as I'm concerned. Like, what? I don't care. So it was challenging, to say the least. It was a very challenging weekend. And then I get so sick. But the cannabis space has been rewarding in some of the weirdest times. Like, like some of the toughest, most like, ugh. Yeah, and there's lots of phonies and frauds and fakes, and there's lots of money to be made and spent. There's lots of it's a lot. So here we are, almost 1 year into COVID, and here we are here to grow.
No, but you're exactly completely right. It's a paradigm shift. Do you know what I mean? We're building an industry as we go, and like I joke and I love about Here We Grow, but truly, this is what we're doing now in Canada, internationally, and what that looks like for regulation. You are so freaking incredible with doing, being the face of what that looks like and how you can get that message and being unapologetically you. That is my biggest takeaway with that. Because people are full of BS. People are, slapping different labels on things that we don't know.
Oh.
You're saying, hey, here's what
you have to understand what people like us have been through, the dark, decrepit times that we survived, in order to understand how nice we're going to treat you. You understand? Because it goes back to what you were saying, if I may, earlier, how you didn't want anyone to treat you that way, et cetera, et cetera. Like I couldn't ever treat another. And that's my point. We had to learn from that. We had to make that mistake. We had to tell you that rock bottom has a basement. And we're here telling you, cannabis helped us. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
and now I'm here on Here We Grow. And just 3 days ago, I said I would never do another podcast again.
Sorry.
You're not kidding. Actually, you're an honorary Canadian.
I'm honorary because I'm in Michigan. You guys basically are like, all right, fine, close enough. We accept Canadian currency here in Michigan, so it's the same, right?
That's so
do
you really?
Yeah, no, seriously, like I could probably search my house and somewhere in the change and find a loonie or a toonie.
Oh, I love it. And I like that you know what a loonie and a toonie is.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that, but we have like weird new like Australian looking currency. Okay, but hold on, I want to touch on that, Jackie. You genuinely said that you were game off on podcasts.
Yes, I have one more. I think I have one on the 11th. I have one scheduled on the 11th and one scheduled on the 24th. And then all the stuff in between, I've said no to. I have a story due for Kind Magazine. I'm 2 weeks late, so I don't think I'm going to be in Kind Magazine this month. I have a write for Bliss, Trek brands. I have a write thing due for them. It was due a week ago. Over a week ago. I'm slowly just saying no and letting things go. I just need a break. My phone's about to die, guys. I'm really sorry. Look, it's getting dark.
Don't be. I love you so much. We will do a follow-up. Guys, we are so excited. Kim, I love you. I'm sorry that my digital did not work.
But what a trigger! Kim jumped on there real quick. She jumped on and did her show.
I got the MVP.
I could watch, but I couldn't comment because of my restrictions here. But back to the book.
We will raise statues in Kim's honor. But we have the book that's coming to Jackie Childs, who is also an author, a best-selling author herself. We have a book coming printed on hemp paper. The first
so cool.
in Canada.
Hemp can change the world.
We're excited. I mean, it's pandemic, so everything's a little bit retroactive at this point.
Shout out to the author. Her name is
Shadi Remy.
Yes,
Shadi Remy.
Shadi, we love you. We're very grateful, and I'm so sorry for my technical difficulties, but here we grow, baby.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you, Rodney.
Oh, absolutely.
Love you.
Pleasure,
Denise, like paprika. You're my favorite spice.
Baby, I'm coming for you. You're my favorite.
Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.